Good morning. Welcome to Who Am I? That audacious show that dares to ask the questions, the deep questions about reality itself. Who am I? Where did I come from? What am I doing here? How does my equipment operate? How do you clunk about in the world and not fall flat on your face? How does it work? How does it really work? What is the key to success? How do I make my dreams come true? How do I find my happily ever after? Who knows what I want? Who knows where what I want is? Who knows how to lead my steps to get there? Well, spoiler alert, it's your inner being. Your inner being, you say? What is this thing? Well, I'm going to talk about some stuff that is often just talked about in hushed and whispered sacred tones concerning the nature of reality. I do mean it reverently, and I do understand that frequency, that particular frequency. When you're on that one, ooh, the universe really does open up to you. So I'm not poo-pooing the sacred frequency. I'm just saying the general gist of this whole thing can be understood from a more general point of view first. And then, oh, we are blessed, we are blessed, we are cursed, we are cursed. Who am I? Who am I? How does it work? How do I function? What can be generally understood about this? You know, we could even standardize the understanding to a point and then allow all beings to take it from there, to iterate that truth from their own self. The result will be infinite diversity, blessed diversity that fills every needed niche. So we're snipping the threads of life. There's a lot that's going to be understood about this as we reverse the process and start rebuilding these threads of life, which we certainly can do. All of this can be done. Right now, you're going to notice that the whole morning I'm going to be largely ignoring, in some ways, current events, although there might be a discussion somewhere down the line about authoritarian psychosis, which is a relevant issue in the world at the moment, if you know what I mean. If you're more than half of us, you might know what I mean, and the other half of you are busy being entranced in the authoritarian psychosis. So I believe that a broader perspective, understanding, is actually going to be necessary to solve all of our problems. And so the problems and current events that I'm going to be talking about will be so general, very, very general. I'm not going to get into any specific. The specifics are up to all of us individually. I'm just talking about a general collective understanding of a couple things about ourselves. Who we are and how this works, and how we are actually, every one of us has been born with a guidance system. There is a part of us that links us to the rest of the universe. And as human beings, we haven't been taught about it because we have been free to raise our children however we want to, and so every one of us has kind of gotten a different load of the picture. But rather than just calling it all malarkey and throwing it into a trash bin, understand that actually everyone who's trying to describe religion is sort of performing that, the old story about the blind men trying to describe the elephant, and every one of them is standing at a different feature and then saying, no, he's like a rope, he's like a snake, he's like a sail, he's like a tree, he's like a wall, that thing. And it's not that they're all wrong. They're each and every one of them in a way is describing something that is correct. Every one of them is profoundly correct, and yet every one of them is missing a bigger frame. And that's actually what our problem is, I think, on planet Earth. And so I'm just providing a service. I guess actually I'm following an impulse. Something is leading me into this space every morning. I kind of wanted to do it for I don't know what reason some months ago, and this is where we are now. So I sort of disregard reality. I mean, I'm not disregarding reality. I'm disregarding the specifics of the rolling manifestation because, in a way, where we are in this moment only matters a little bit. It's sort of like if you're driving your car to San Diego. Yes, you do need to eyeball the road where you are, or you'll be off in a ditch. But you aren't stopping and examining every pebble on the road where you are. It's like, yeah, okay, I see where we are. Where are we going? You know, and it's a dual perspective. It's you where you are and you bigger perspective where you're going. And so largely, oh, ooh, hold on one second. Hold on. Yeah, not what, not. My computer, I'm sorry, my computer wanted to do something right in the middle of recording. I've never had that happen. So, to some extent, what I'm doing, I was just thinking about this morning because this is the way the universe works. And we are fractal iterations of the form of the universe. So the scales of the universe outward getting bigger and bigger correspond to an awareness within ourselves going inwards deeper and deeper until you integrate at the deepest level. You get all the way to the Planck and you have integrated with the entire universe. So it's like when you integrate yourself at the biological level, you connect with the this is actually a quote from the Semharamain, but I understand what he's saying. He just says it so cleanly. I usually keep it out so that I can easily find it, and actually I didn't get my notes in order before I sat down. Here we go. When you integrate yourself as a biological being, you connect with the morphogenetic field of the planet. When you integrate yourself at the atomic level, you connect with the solar system. At the level of the proton, you integrate with the galaxy, and when you get all the way down to the Planck, you integrate with the universe. And this has to do with awareness, it has to do with alignment, it has to do with how you are in your, your biological body is doing this anyway. It's doing it all along with the rest of the field, which is not as amorphous as you might imagine that it is. I mean, there is a general evolution happening in the field that we are all part of, that we are all inescapably part of. And you can even imagine how that is, because our own natural history museums show us the progression of ecosystems. Things evolve, things develop. Actually, things get more and more. They become more and more, and they get better and better, actually. The world around us is trying to get better. The problem, I believe that this boils down to one thing with humanity. And I think that it's really important that some of us, at least, focus a little bit of our attention over this direction. And then more and more of us become aware of the general idea. We need to set an intention to get off of fossil fuels. And I'm not going to talk about where we are specific, because I understand. We have been working on this infrastructure of fossil fuels for 150 years. From the first time that oil well was hit in Oklahoma, and you got those famous pictures of those people drenched in oil. And it was a good thing. Oil was a good thing. It stopped us from killing whales. Can you imagine if modern society was still trying to light its way by way of whale oil? Well, there wouldn't be any whales, and there wouldn't be any whales a long time ago, and we'd just be back to whatever. The thing is that there is an answer. There's an answer going forward. It doesn't make any sense that over Unity devices would be considered impossible. And it turns out they aren't impossible. I'm going to direct you to a movie, interesting documentary called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. And it's the history of devices that have been developed by humanity, by other human beings, that would have helped us, that would have gotten us off of fossil fuels. But quite frankly, those who own the actual reality, physical infrastructure in place right now that controls the pipeline, the literal pipeline, the metaphorical pipeline and the literal pipeline to the those yachts and Learjets and private islands and all the things that those who own the trillions of dollars of unburned as yet fossil fuels, and they want to continue burning them so that their pipeline to all of the best, really good stuff and the magnified power, the world is going to be a better place when we give up fossil fuels, but they will have to give up their privileged position owning all the stuff in a world of scarcity. Now, it's actually going to be a better world. It's going to be a world of abundance, and we're all going to do better when we all do better. And if they understood that, they could maybe set their own intention to start working that direction and very gently move that way, because it's going to be better. The world that we're headed to right now is a lot better than the one that we see in place. But we're resisting its development because we don't understand how we work. We're fighting with what we have in place at the moment, instead of we've lost our view of where we're going and what we want. Actually, I'm gonna talk in terms of humanity. I think what we it's funny what I do with the energy, and then I just lose it. I lose that stream of flow, that that coherent. I've started with an idea, and I've driven to a point. That sort of momentum. Occasionally, I lose that. Forgive me. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I in this universe, and how does who I am? How does it count? In a way, it doesn't matter what the rolling manifestation is right at this moment. The universe is vibrational. Keep your eyes on how it feels, if you will. Keep your eyes on what your heart is telling you. I believe in faith, but I don't think it should bridge sensibility. My lifetime mantra has always been never believe what doesn't make sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, you still have to swallow it, but you don't have to. You can just put it in that place where everything goes, and at some point your consciousness starts sorting it out. Don't believe what doesn't make sense, and know that how you feel about it, and that feeling that feels good, about it matters. What I mean is that place where everything that you like is, that place where you are, where where everything that you love is actually. It's sort of a stacked reality, you know. It's not organized by way of time, it's organized by how you felt about it, whether you cared about it, whether it was interesting or not, you know. I have come to believe, I haven't always been actually all that spiritual of a person, and in a way, this understanding that I've come to lately, you could almost classify it as a spiritual understanding, a spiritual bent, but I like to think of it a lot more matter of factly because it's involving my analytical mind. My analytical mind has to see this and understand that it makes sense. So now I've lost the whole thread of all things. Who am I? Who am I? And what is this reality that we are embedded in? I'm asking the question, who am I, in reference to source energy. What is source energy? And how our understanding of this thing that we are. I know it's very personal. It's so personal, and everybody was given a different load of malarkey. And, but malarkey, but not malarkey, you know? And so I gotta circle back to this. I'm so sorry. So let's talk about our configuration, because I alluded to the fact, I alluded to something about where your love is, you know, all the things that you love, everything that you care about. Where is that? Where is that? There actually is a place where everything that you care about is. And the more you care about it, the more it is there in that one place. I don't know. I'll explain all of this. So this is my little diagram. It's simple. It's actually terrible because it's blurry. I could do so much better, but I am not a graphics person in any way. My whole job has been just trying to get the oral part of this presentation going. So someday somebody's going to help me find better graphics to describe the ideas that I want to pull together in this little program that I have. I want it to help raise our consciousness to a place where we can free ourselves from the yoke of fossil fuels. I want it to help us each individually understand how to live a better, more blessed life, more harmonious with the rest of the group, more effective within our own goals, and more satisfying moment by moment by moment. That is my prayer. That is my intention for us all. I would like every one of us to have a smoother ride, because then collectively as a group we all have a smoother ride. When we create angst in one another, we create angst in the field that ripples back and slaps us all around. It's going to slap me around too, undoubtedly, especially if the situation has gotten bad enough that the authoritarian dictator is going to be elected in the land of the free and the home of the brave. If that actually happens, then wow, we've really got to understand this situation differently, don't we? Because I don't want to keep playing out that that scenario, that cycle. I think that cycle just happens because we don't know who we are. We think there's an enemy, and then we focus on the individual that's the enemy, the one who played out the energy, you know, in the field. It all being a field phenomenon, and it would be a lot more helpful if we could see it broadly, generally, more kindly, more connectedly, go to the place of universal consciousness and then view it from there. Where is this place? I say, well, we all have access to it. That's why they call it universal consciousness. If it was, if we all didn't have access to it, we would call it selective access consciousness, you know, or whatever, elitist consciousness. You know, you get what I mean. I actually hadn't thought that out. I should think of the pithy phrase that that expresses that spirit. So, who am I? Who am I? How did I get here? That's another part of the question. But let me get back to, I guess I've drifted off and forgotten that I've got this picture showing of the apertures. The wide open aperture, I see this as my source mind. This represents the mind that is in touch with actual reality, how the atoms are moving in the field, how the wind is blowing, how my blood is flowing, how yours is, where we have all come from, what we have all been doing for the last eons of time. The record of it all comes with us. So it's all right there, and your source mind is in touch with all of that. And now what it's keeping track of for you, so it's all of that, it's the memory of all of that, but it's more than that. There's an impulse there, there's an impetus driving forward from this forward motion of what it actually turns out to be. When you boil it down to the boiling it down to the boiling it down, it's spin. It's spin. Spin is what matter is. And all the forces, strong and weak and gravitational and everything, can be mathematically explained from that position. And that understanding is going to help us understand first who we are. Who am I as a consciousness? Who am I as a human being? What is a human being consciousness, and how does it relate to the consciousness of the other beings that we share this planet with? And how does that synchronize and harmonize? How would we line up? How can we line our desires up with the desires of all the field around us? And when we line our desires up, then now you can just be encouraged to desire to your heart's freaking content, and it does nothing but help the group be more abundant, more alive, more connected, more secure, more playful, more all of that, more. But when your desires are off in your own little world, and you don't understand how you are the allness, you are a divine individual. Excuse me, I need a drink. A divine individuated aspect of the allness. You are seamlessly, inseparably one with that allness also. So the energies that we create within the morphogenetic field of humanity, they reverberate out. We're not separate from it. Your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. That's the Prophet. Actually, that's Khalil Gibran. I'm not sure it's from the Prophet. I think it's from a different writing of his. Your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. And when we create systems and behave in ways that imply our ignorance of who we are and how this really works, we create imbalances in the field. It's not imbalances, it's more like polarities. It's little storms of chaos. Little momentums of negative energy that play out in the field. I've been calling it Shiva energy, you know. So our systems, as humanity, we have systems in place. We produce food. That's the big one. We produce food and then distribute it amongst ourselves based on systems. Right now we got this system of capitalization, and one of the reasons that we all have to participate in that is because the biggest thing that we're trading right now is energy, the ability to plug in both literally and figuratively into the currency that is humanity's energy. Your ability to plug into that depends upon your ability to capitalize. And there's a number of ways that that we can do that. You can produce a good, you can produce a service, or nowadays, now that you have the internet and YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, another way to capitalize is to draw attention. If you can draw attention to whatever it is that you're doing, if you can get eyes on your work, whether you're, doing jackass things, face planting and, or whatever it is you're doing. So that becomes another option to this capitalization. And the reason that we do it is because, well, we live in a paradigm of scarcity, which is interesting because I believe we live in a universe of infinite abundance. And the reason that we do is because there's a lot of people who have it in their consciousness that it's a zero-sum game. For instance, they think it's a zero-sum game, and they think that the object of the exercise is competition. And it isn't. But when you set up your primary assumptions within the analytics of your consciousness with that to begin with, then you're already off track. You're already out of alignment between now. So I get back to my lame picture. The one on the right here, I redirect you to my video, which most of the time you're just listening to what I'm saying. You're not watching my video because my video is it's not much of a video. This is a audio presentation with some visual aids. That's actually what I'm going to call this. So the one on the right, that's you. I'm going to call this representation is you in your specific mind, your conventional mind, your meat-based mind in your head mind. That one is also looking at the world. As a matter of fact, the business of this part of you is to dial specifically into the actual matter around you at any given time. That's your job. That's what that aspect of you is. And the two of you comprise a binary system. You actually have more data. These are like data flows. And they are apertures. Actually, they are also apertures of focus. And what is your inner being focusing on? Well, your inner being, first of all, is aware of all things. It is that source aspect of you that is vibrational only. Now, you, in your physical body, you are also vibrational, because it turns out that all manifestation is... an atom is just space-time spinning. It's a vibration. And your source energy aspect of you is just your pure vibrational self, not your body self. It's like all the rest of you. Because you stretch out all the way to, you actually are as big as the universe. And what you are identifying with, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? How you answer that question, I am fill in the blank. That means and you answer it differently at any given time, and this is determining how your light being is moving through space and time. What the direction that you are facing, the way that you are pointing, and that you can tell what that is by how you feel. If what you are looking at, if you're feeling good as you're looking at anything, then you are moving in a direction that you will find satisfying. So I've alluded to something. I've left some things in the trail behind me that I have not explained. And one of the things was about this source energy aspect of yourself, this inner being, this vibrational only aspect of you that is touching all the rest of the universe. And I think of it as my vibrational cosmic anatomy. But it's actually way more than that, because it's not just knowing who you are, where you've been, where everything else is, how your blood is pumping, where all the cells are and what they're doing, how the wind is blowing, how the planet is spinning, where it knows. Well, as I have said before, I say it every day because it matters. The universe is holographic. The universe is holographic. And that holographic nature means that you have access to all the information of all the universe, which means if you have an inner being who is vibrational only, it has access. Not only that, it has access to everything going on now. Now. And as the nows move forward in this rolling manifestation, all of the information of the yesterdays come with it. It's not like the reason your inner being never looks back is it doesn't have to. Back is here and now with it. All the information of back. So it never has to look back to see everything, because that's all right here and now. Encoded in the information of the universe. The universe actually is this enormous, magnificent information exchanging machine. And you are too. And unto this universe you are a broadcaster and a receiver of electromagnetic information. You are broadcasting unto the universe, and the universe is responding to your broadcast. Depending on what spirit you are broadcasting on. That's actually the most important thing. The different radio stations are the different spirits. What spirit are you in? What spirit are you being in any given time? Because quite frankly, as human beings, we are whole, and we contain all the negative ones too. All the potential for all the negative frequencies are contained in all of us, no matter how good we are at being positive. Generally, all of the negative potentials are within us, because that's how we're designed. We are, and let's talk about what those negative frequencies are. When you are in a negative frequency, what does it mean? So you are these two minds. You are source energy mind. You are your physical, analytical mind in your physical brain, probably more analogously similar to your left side of your brain. That aspect of your analytical system is probably more represented by this general, you are a binary system. And when what you are looking at, so your inner being knows what it knows. It knows what's real. You cannot bullshit your inner being. Your inner being knows what's real, knows where everything really, really, really is, where all the atoms are located and how they are moving and what they're doing. Your inner being knows all that. You cannot BS your inner being. But you, on the other hand, are free to take any thought. You can take bogus thoughts. You can take thoughts like, I am of no value. I have no resources. I am alone. And, in a way, you could look around you and you could see no bodies in your immediate vicinity, and you could come to the understandable conclusion that you are alone. But you couldn't be less alone, for crying out loud. We are a single morphogenetic field, and you are actually connected to the rest of it. What's the key? Well, the key to understanding your GPS guidance system is that it's all vibrational, and so it has more to do with states of being than anything else. And this is actually in a very matter-of-fact kind of way. So this is the emotional guidance scale. This shows you, actually I'm going to show a different version of it. This one is just a list, and I like it. highest vibrational feelings, lowest vibrational feelings. But then look at this one. This actually demonstrates something else, which is momentum. Because positive and negative momentums of thought ensue. When you start thinking something, momentum ensues. It's part of the law of attraction. It's how, when you start on a topic, I take a lot of what Abraham says. I have just believed her, and when I input her information, it just adds up. Every thought that has ever been thought still is out there as a vibration. When you think of a thought, you think of a thinker thinking a thought, but once a thought has been thought, that it's almost like knitting the frequencies of the quantum field into a particular strand and then floating it out in the universe. That's kind of what happens when you think a thought. When you think a thought, you send it out there, and then it's there. It's there, out there in the field forevermore. It's part of the frequencies that surround us, forevermore. That thought is there. And when you start thinking thoughts, the universe starts... what you're doing, you're spinning. You're a spinning disc. Your consciousness is... Actually, let's go back to this picture, because these two minds, they are spinning discs. Because... remember, everything is spin. As a matter of fact, every single thing, every phenomenon, you can boil it down to, when you get down to its most basic level, it turns out it's all spin. And life coming at you is spin. And the nature of reality is spin. And what your inner being really knows is so everything is on its own spinning disc. And spinning in a particular way, and at different rates, relative to the whole thing. But in actual fact, when you go deep, deep, deep into your consciousness, you hit layers deeper and deeper and deeper, where these spins line up, and at the center of 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 all things is that singularity of all singularities, bringing us all to... there's a common point that we all share, where all the information is, and you don't have to go anywhere to get it. It's right there. And everyone has access to this. This is sort of the meaning of the holographic nature of us all. And 0 point energy is actually this energy field exchanging data flow about itself, where everything is and how it's moving. And this data flow goes up and down the line through bigger and smaller scales. Like Nassim Haramein says, the multiverse is actually nested. It's like Horton here's a Who kind of stuff. It's the Planck, the subplanck to the Planck to the to the proton to the galaxy to the universe to the multiverse. It's scales of information, and it's all based on spin. And so what your inner being knows is how to guide your steps to rendezvous with the best part of the best part, because it knows where what is coming around. Where what is coming around. And what is your inner being keeping track of? This is the cool part. Your inner being is keeping track of what you love. It never, ever, ever takes your eyes off of what you care about, of what you love, and how what you love relates to all of the physical universe around you, and how best to help you rendezvous with what you love best. And if we would all do that truly, follow our hearts, then we could organize ourselves into the most amazing universe ever, the most amazing planet Earth. Go Earth! Go Team Earth. Right now, Earth has a smattering of problems, a smattering of issues, and I believe that each and every one of them is caused by our being plugged into fossil fuels. And the reason we're still plugged into fossil fuels is because we do not understand source energy. That is my thesis. That is my contribution to my people. This understanding, and my prayer, my hope, my intention is to help us gently extract our claws from around the clutching this dark. What was the name of the villain made of oil in Fern Gully? Remember him? Voiced by Tim Curry. Actually, whatever that is, we need to unclench our claws from that evil energy being. It's a bad spirit, bad juju, man, you know? But I understand reality, and the reality is for the last 150 years, we have been building infrastructure based upon 19th century understandings. As a matter of fact, there was a glimmer of understanding that began in the mind of Nikola Tesla as he looked around the universe and realized deeply that what he was looking at was not solid objects, but energy, frequency, and vibration. And if you want to understand the universe that we live in now, you've got to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. And there's other things that we have to get to, because as human beings, as a binary system, we are a head and a heart. And if those two are not lined up with one another, then we are not in alignment. And when our two minds are not in alignment, then our actions are, it's just like when your car is out of alignment or needs a tune-up, and it's almost like you could think of these two minds as being like a twin carburetor system that has to be, but it's not exactly like that, because your inner being is the one who knows what really is. And so I would advise, if anybody's going to do any aligning, it's you in your little analytical self that needs to do some aligning with the greater source energy of what's real about what's real around you. Regardless of what, you may have been taught some superstitious stuff in regards to religion, there were parts of it that were true. There were parts of it that were true. Some of it, think of it as a metaphor for greater realities, for a greater understanding of the allness in which you abide. I never knew how to, because I was never religious. Never, ever, 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 ever. I was always skeptical. Analytically, I was skeptical of my religion. Never believed it, was never able to put that faith bridge into... So I was always skeptical of religion, but I also never really pushed back against it. I would watch people in the throes of... religious fervor, and they seemed very sincere to me. So I was watching a phenomenon that I knew was real and true, but I didn't know how to understand it. And I was always skeptical. Recently, in my dotage, I'm not that old, but in my older years, as things have started to click into place, I'm like, oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. And actually, I always felt like religions had a mixture. They had taken a mixture of what was absolutely true and fundamentally real and important, and mixed it with a lot of, adulterated it almost with a lot of worldly vested concerns, you might say. That there was something that had to do with this mystical truth, and another that had to do with human history and human power and human control of physical specifics, and that somehow it had gotten muddied together. But the truth of it had to do with this spirit. It has to do with frequencies. It has to do with, and that sacred spirit, that feeling of wonder and connection to allness, and that's a real frequency, and it's meaningful. It pulls a lot of So I never knew how to address the universe. I understood that prayer had a place, and it was even important. The places where I had been successful with prayer was when I had lost objects. When I didn't know where they were, if I would stop and get still, and just then, and then trust. When I would come out of it, sometimes I could more easily walk directly to wherever this lost thing was. So I knew there was something about prayer. I think it's funny because your inner being knows where everything is. And if you can stop and listen to her impulses and what is she trying to tell you. I just feminized her. I'm sorry if I offended all of you people who are sure that Heavenly Father is a he. Believe me, we're talking about the same thing. Recently, I have become able to speak of it as and I love this actually, the Almighty. Isn't that wonderful? The Almighty. The allness of which we are all a part. There is an allness to it, and that allness is meaningful, and that allness is something that each and every one of us shares. We all share it. It's like we all not only possess the same Lego set, we are all one of the Legos in the Lego set. It's very mystical and cool and amazing and fine and wonderful. And I would like humanity in general to understand ourselves better so that we can kind of get off of the negative and start solving the problems that we have on planet Earth, which I have yet to elucidate. Let's do it right now. Garbage Island, too much carbon in the atmosphere, poisoning planet Earth with our pipelines of tar sands going to refineries across aquifers into, then the way we burn fossil fuel is only the tip of the iceberg as to how dirty and nasty and poisonous that is. And you may disagree with the term global warming. I believe that the global warming that human beings are assisting is coming along with, fortuitously coming along with, a cyclical, natural, cosmic event that would have warmed our planet, but it would have warmed our planet more gently, over more time, and we would have had more time to adjust naturally to the new conditions. We are kind of forcing ourselves into a more of a predicament, backing ourselves more into a corner, and the only way out is to understand who we are. There are so many of us on planet Earth, and we're all jammed together, each with our own religious background. Actually, each and every one of us has lived a life so different from the other, even from our siblings, who were basically raised, or our peers, raised in exactly our same time. We are so different from one another. And there are so many of us, and we're all mashed up against each other, clashing and trying to get along. We have really horrible things going on the planet right now. What's going on in the Middle East is just unconscionable. What looks like it might be fixing to happen in our election sphere of the United States is almost unconscionable too. It is an expression of how out of alignment we are. It is nothing more than that. It is no more villainous than that, but that's villainous enough. Because that kind of villainous is so villainous it can get you all the way to a Holocaust. Human beings are... So let's get back to, I don't want to spend too much time on our darkness, because actually the truth of the matter is that we possess at our fingertips the ability to move in the direction of solving each and every one of these problems. It's going to come from our better understanding of source energy, both from an individual level. Who am I as source energy? I am source energy. I was source energy before I came into this physical body, and the largest part of me still is. Actually, that is a I don't actually like that sentence, because all of me is source energy. There is nothing but source energy. There is nothing but source energy. But your inner being is I know what she means when she says that the largest part of you is so the largest part of who you really are you can't even see. It's communing with all the rest of the universe. It extends out from you. You are emitting a vibration, and your system is receiving a vibration. And actually, you're more than receiving a vibration, you are receiving all of your experience. Your experience is a reflection of the frequency that you are broadcasting on. The frequency that you are broadcasting on is the frequency that you're receiving on. And so if you are constantly on the Henri channel, then that which you are receiving is going to be coming to you on the rendezvousing with you on that Henri disc. It's a frequency, it's a spinning. So we're going to go back to this. You can see that at contentment and boredom, there's not a lot of momentum there. But as you get into the higher and lower frequencies, you can see that it's higher, a stronger momentum of negative frequency equals those lower vibrations. And as you get up the scale, that is a stronger momentum of positive momentum, positive frequency. You are these two spinning discs. The one is your source energy aspect, your inner being that knows. I pull all this from from the study of law of attraction. I have internalized what Esther Hicks has been. I picked up what she's been putting down for the last 35 years. And actually, my philosophy, if you wonder what it is that I do, I add the philosophy of others in. Those that make sense to me, I go, oh, yes, and then I swallow them as best I can and add them into my picture. And I like the language that she uses. It doesn't contradict. As I see, nothing contradicts anything. As a matter of fact, in this place where all things are, literally nothing is contradicting anything else. It all exists in the same universe. There's no contradiction. There is harmony. There is only harmony. So who am I in all of this? And how do I use my emotional guidance system? Well, first of all, know that you're only in alignment with your inner being if you are in any of those positive frequencies. If you are in a negative frequency, you are not in alignment with your inner being. You may be correct as you look at something in the field and determine that you don't like it. And you are allowed to like and not like what you want. As a matter of fact, it's very important to the universe that you express your likes. It's very important that you get in touch with your desire, that you get into alignment with your inner being about your desire, and then move towards your desire. It's important that all of us do that. Our desire is divine. I believe that it is divine, and it only becomes demonic when our system is out of alignment, which means, so say my desire is that, say I'm Mr. Burns on The Simpsons, and my desire is to make money at all costs. This is a desire that is out of alignment, because in his case, his inner being is trying to tell him, is trying to guide him just like everybody else's is, but he's not listening. He's off on a negative jag, and he does not see anything around him except for, and so his desires are not in alignment with the morphogenetic field of the biosphere around him. That's why he thinks it's a good idea to mine the ocean and create slurry, just scoop up everything that lives and, stick it through a machine and, spit it out as, can it and sell it for dog food or whatever the hell it was that they were selling slurry for. It's an extreme example. But the more that your desires are in alignment with the desires of the field around you, the more cooperative components you're going to find to your desires, and the less resistance that you are going to have to your desires. And frankly, my desire is that humanity thrive on a thriving, abundant planet. And I'm not going to push back against anybody specifically. Not specifically. I mean, if you are the authoritarian, you know who you are. You know who you are. But frankly, there is no villain. There is no villain. We want to vilify those who pick up that Shiva energy that we create when we build systems that are not in alignment with the desires and needs of the greater group. Your neighbor is your unknown self made visible, and we are all one. On the one hand, we are divinely, inseparably one morphogenetic field, one quantum field. One pixelated quantum field, one energy moving through time, moving, and the data flowing across the field, creating this holographic effect. You are the whole universe. You are connected inextricably, and at the same time, you are divinely autonomous. You have a center. The center of your center is where those two minds align, those two apertures, that wide open one that sees all, knows all. And how does it do this? It does this across how does your inner being know everything? How is it holographic? Well, the way it's doing it is, so before the end of this presentation, I'm going to go through my slides. I haven't gone through hardly any slides. I usually start out slow, and then later I start picking it up, picking it up about, for instance, what is our genetic makeup, and what is actually, I'm just pointing at a specific component. I am not a specialist. My specialty is the general. My specialty is how does everything fit together, more than me being the... I'm not a mathematician, although I thought about being one. I took calculus in college, and I was so excited about life when I was able to understand what it was saying. It was like, oh my God, I get it. I can do this. It was so exciting to me. And then I had a wonderful college professor who just lit up my mind. He believed in math. He thought God was a mathematician, and he was always showing us really cool, fabulous, unexplainable, mysterious things about mathematics. How this number, here it is over here, and then da 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 da, and ba-da, here it is way over here on the other side of the universe. And how did that same number come up? That same irrational number, perhaps. So cool. But I did not pursue that. I am not a mathematician. I am not a specialist. I am a general. The whole idea of my place in this, my specialty is a general understanding of generally how this generally lines up. How it feels to me. And then I have been following an impulse to, I did not know why I wanted to do this, but some months ago I started coming into this room and practicing putting my thoughts together. And the next thing you knew, I was talking to myself. And then the next thing you know, I had an impulse to record it. And so here I am talking about, who am I? Who am I? Who are we? Who are we as human beings? Where did we come from? What is our design? So this little diagram. This is one of Greg Braden's slides. And it just represents the neocortex, the mind of the human. It's sort of that layer of analytical thought, that layer of consciousness that differentiates us from the others. And it's sort of broader perspective. It's an ability to think past the emotions of the hormones of the mammalian brain, you might say, the reaction to the physical condition based on just an impulse now. The ability to see past that. That's the neocortex. And where did this layer of mind come from? Very interesting. It appears to be, so 76% of the volume of the neocortex comes from, now I don't usually show this slide, but I'm going to show this one. Human chromosome number 2 is approximately 8% of the DNA in every cell. It's the second largest human chromosome. I'd like to know what the first largest one is. I bet it's chromosome number 7. I need to study that. I keep saying that and then I don't do it. Maybe I'll do it today. But what Greg is referring to in this slide, you can see Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. It's actually, this is what he's referring to. It's an article that was published back in 1991 by a group of geneticists who analyzed human chromosome number 2 and concluded that actually human chromosome number 2 is it's two other chromosomes fused together. It's not a single chromosome. It is a fused chromosome, and it's the relic of an ancient telomere to telomere fusion, and marks the point at which two ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. This was a happening. This happened. This was like, it happened. This is not the result of incremental Darwinian evolutionary processes, random or not. That is not what this is. This was a fusion of chromosomes that prior to their fusion, they were ape chromosomes. Post-fusion, it is human chromosome number 2, and produced the neocortex and the human mind, which is both a blessing and a curse, by the way. Both a blessing and a curse. It's a curse when we don't know how it works, and it's a blessing when we do, or at least I believe that it is. And we need to understand these frequencies. We need to care about how we feel. Because, so back to that emotional guidance scale, let's just look at the plain Jane one. If you are not in a state of positive emotion, at least contentment or higher, satisfaction or higher, you are out of alignment with your inner being, who is perfectly okay with how the world is, in absolute satisfaction. What is the meaning of a negative emotion? Well, first of all, I'm not saying that the condition that you think is responsible for your negative emotion, I'm not saying that that condition is not, could not be considered a step one moment. You are allowed to want what you want. And when you are in a state of negative emotion because you have witnessed something you don't like, I'm not saying that you don't have a right to not like it. It is true. You're allowed to not like it. But that state of negative emotion that you are feeling is because the thought you took about it is not in resonance with what your inner being knows to be true about it. So you aren't following your internal guidance. You're allowing yourself to go into a state of negative emotion based on a condition that maybe you can't change. So you take that hit of negative emotion, and what it did is it just marked a preference. And your inner being marks the preference and remembers that preference, and that's what your inner being is. That's what your inner being is focusing on. First of all, it knows everything. It's in touch with all things. It's that vibrational aspect of you that is in touch with the holographic nature of the universe and can read the encoded information of all the universe. It doesn't have to go anywhere, although you radiate, you radiate your signal out to the universe. You're a thermodynamic engine radiating, burning at about 100 degrees your whole life. So that is it. Your heart is beating out an electromagnetic field that can be read by pretty ordinary equipment that you could buy at Lowe's. Your heartbeat is that strong. Your brain is putting out an electromagnetic field that's harder to read, but a magnetoencephalogram can read it. It's a device that sits outside your head like a hairdryer, but it doesn't touch your brain, touch you in any way, and it reads your brain waves. You're putting out all kinds of signals to the universe. You're also reading them back, both in subtle and gross ways. The gross ways are like how your impulses are causing you to rendezvous with what? At what timing? You know, is it clear or is it chaotic? If it's chaotic, then it's because you're running on negative frequencies and you're taking impulses out of alignment with what the signals that your inner being is trying to give you, and so the information you're getting is chaotic, and you're rendezvousing with the chaotic, and that momentum might even be growing. You're starting groups because your fear is driving you to groups to try to battle the growing authoritarian psychosis that is rising in the field. And oh my God, the Nazis could take over the reins of government, of power. They could, the Nazis, or whatever, the authoritarian psychosis. It's a field phenomenon. We should not be trying to understand this well, you can understand it specifically, but you can't point fingers of blame and vilify. There is only one of us here. And what our left hand does, our right hand feels. When we burn fossil fuels to get our currency, our literal and figurative currency, because largely our dollars now that we trade amongst each other, a lot of them are petrodollars. They are representative of the energy that we extract from this planet. And actually, when we capitalize, we can use that money to go buy literal energy. I can go over to PNM and I can pay my electric bill and I can literally buy energy. So our angst is coming from the way we burn fossil fuels. And the reason that we burn fossil fuels the way that we do is because we do not understand source energy. But we can understand source energy, and frankly, the math has been done. I have said that already. I said it yesterday. I showed these slides yesterday. So if you were one of the very few people on planet Earth who were with me yesterday, you would have seen these slides. Maybe you were with me yesterday, but you're not going to be with me today. I'm going to do this every single day. Every single day that I am here at home with my studio. Next month we are going away for a few weeks, so there will be a 3-week break. And then when I come back, I hope to have all kinds of new insights to bring to my presentations. Now, understand that largely my presentations are not about current events. I don't really follow current events. But some current events are so big that it's just hard to miss, So on this emotional guidance scale, know that if you are in a state of negative emotion, what is happening is that your two minds are not blending very well. You yourself are thinking dark thoughts, and your inner being is never thinking dark thoughts. Your inner being is always looking at, what is your inner being looking at? What you care about, what you love. Marked every preference you ever declared. Abraham calls these rockets of desire. They just emanate from you. It's an energy. It's part of your energy. Your energy, your forward-looking. What is the impulse forward to the better, to the more, to the desired? Every being, including human beings, as it addresses the world, expresses its desires. And actually, over time, what happens is the universe responds to the desire of the beings within the ecosystem. It's how come, when those very few beings appear on the rocky island, how, given a little bit of time, what is produced is everything that everybody wants. The bird morphs into how many different kinds of species, every one of them filling different niches, able to process, different things. We change ourselves, and we summon new in ourselves, and we summon new in the universe around us. It's part of the way this sacred divine creation machine is going. So this is Abraham's words now about the steps of creation. Steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 1, life causes me to ask. Ask for more, ask for better, ask for what I want. You got to assess the situation and go, okay, I can see what would be better here. Let's work on that. Whether it's more stuff that I want, or whether it's let's move this furniture into a more harmonious configuration. I can feel the chi flowing if I arrange it this way, and hence comes the science of feng shui. Those people who could feel the flow of the energy and could help move people's furniture around in ways where it flowed better, and so then that became their specialty. It's always to the more and the better, to the more and the better. And if we lean that direction, we can do it faster. If we keep resisting, if we keep believing in our own wickedness, then we will make the goodness slower in coming. We are not wicked. I don't care how bad you are being. I don't care if you are the authoritarian himself. As Sue Morter would say, that's just a question of the bus stop conversation that we all had with each other before we came into this physical space. Some of us were going to play the villain, and others of us were going to play the hero. But the fact is that it all needs to serve, well, it does serve our growing understanding of who we are. And as a matter of fact, this little illustration is going to get bigger and more vivid and more hellacious, if I must say, until we get it, until we understand who and what we really are, and we can calm those demons that we keep summoning. We keep summoning the demons. And then the people who carry the demonic energy, we vilify them as though they were the villains, but they aren't the villains. It was the demonic energy that we all summoned. How did we summon it? By not knowing who we are. And so things like, we are a single morphogenetic field, first of all, as humanity. And when our systems cause some within us to do very, very well, and others within this system to not be served hardly at all, the energies that are created, it's just a duh. It's just a duh. I think of it as when parts of us create things that are unsustainable and non-sustaining to large parts of the field. It creates Shiva energy, and this Shiva energy is negative. It's negative, destructive storms of chaotic energy. And it's laying there. And idle people without momentums of their own start picking it up. The disgruntled, the disenfranchised, those are the ones who pick it up. They become angry. And you don't need to blame the angry. You need to understand what caused the problem. And I believe, my thesis is that the biggest problem, the biggest physical problem happening on planet Earth right now is that we burn fossil fuels for our energy. And the problem is there's getting to be more and more of us, and it's not reasonable that all of us should have access to this dirty, dirty, dirty energy, this limited dirty, dirty energy. And some people are like, it's not limited. There's trillions of dollars worth of more of it that we could burn. Well, we don't want to do that because it's going to kill us. It's sort of like the caterpillar who is eating the bush and eats the bush and eats the bush and eats the bush and eats the bush until there's nothing of the bush left. All the leaves are gone and there's nothing left to eat. And just when you think that, he's just going to die because there's nothing left to eat, and the plant is going to die because it's been mostly eaten, it stops, turns into a chrysalis, and then forms into a butterfly and flies away, and the bush grows, the leaves on the bush grow back, and everything is fine. And we're sitting in that kind of a moment. I would, on the one hand, I feel these terrible things that we are doing. And I feel the weight of, dead elephants and drowning polar bears. And I feel Garbage Island, and I feel the growing deserts, and I feel the crouching scarcity, the scarcity monster, and squabbling over limited, dwindling resources across a dying planet, right? We've all heard that sort of scenario spun out, and how many apocalyptic movies have we watched that's the very theme. But the truth of the matter is that we do not have to, that this does not have to be our future. The problem right now, and the reason that we are killing planet Earth as we try to live in our abundance and be more and more and more, and it becomes less and less and less, is because we are burning fossil fuels. But we don't need to. We really do not need to. We can understand the mathematics. As a matter of fact, the mathematics of this situation has been done. The mathematics have been done. And I have some slides that I just captured from this, and I still need to learn the legality, whether I can embed the the full presentation of this explanation of both the emergence of mass and the nature of gravity, the origin of mass and the nature of gravity. Actually, this is what I am pulling my slides from. The origin of mass and the nature of gravity. This is a scientific paper, math and physics. The mathematics of the physics of the origin of mass and the nature of gravity from a new perspective, from a different perspective, from a unified perspective. And the mathematics work. The mathematics have been done that unify the Planck scale to the cosmological scale. Now, if you haven't heard the news of that, well, it might be because there's some implications that are probably uncomfortable for some conventional points of view. But this new way of looking at it, this new way of understanding how, for instance, spin is fundamental to the whole thing. It's fundamental. As matter comes into being across the event horizon of the zero-point energy field, you could say, it is spinning. Spin is fundamental. It is baked into the cake. And the understanding of gravity as such. I also watched a really cool video yesterday about how gravity is not a force, and the explanation of that was pretty mind-bending. These are all the pictures that I captured from this presentation. I have a general understanding of the nature of this, a very, very layman's understanding. I do not have a technician's understanding of this. I have a general understanding of this. We're talking about every one of your protons being actually a black hole. It is a black hole and obeys all the mathematics. This is the quantum structure of space-time. It's pixelated, and all of these pixels are they're Plancks. And as that Planck field organizes, it begins to spin and starts bringing other Plancks with it. let's see what else we got going here. The quantum structure of space-time. This is actually how it works. I don't know if I missed the one that we can plug our technology directly into source energy and have an unlimited, free, clean energy source for humanity at the POD. That's my point of desire, anywhere on the planet. I didn't even finish the rest of the litany of man's woes. How about growing deserts? The reason that the deserts are growing, there's two reasons. First of all, yes, global warming is exacerbating that. Global warming will make deserts grow because it gets hotter and hotter in the hottest places, and then that marginal life gets more and more marginal. That's true. Another thing that's causing it is people on the edges of the deserts living very marginal lives who don't have access to any kind of energy. And so they burn what little fuel they can find growing in the deserts around them. And it causes the desert to grow. It's actually this is the mathematics of achieving the Planck length. It's actually, I believe that what a Planck is, you take a photon going at the speed of light, so it's going at the speed of light, which is really fast, and a photon is really, really small, and then crossing it, how long it takes to cross its own diameter, that little blip, that's a Planck. I believe that's how you get the Planck, but then there's the mathematics of it and all the formulas involved in velocities and distances and the speed of light and blah 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 blah. This is Planck's. Anyway, the mathematics has been done, and when I am able to do this, I will embed the link to the full video describing the mathematics of this. It's pretty technical into the end of my video, but I don't know how to do that now, so I'm not going to do it now. So anyway, where are we? Where are we in the narrative? I think we've done all of my slides except for one. So I have made a claim. We are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe. Did I make that claim? Certainly I should have. We are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe. And there are certain... So... this is my little spiel about cymatics. It's sort of a visual demonstration so that your imagination can get its mind around the idea that we are vibrational, that the universe is vibrational, and that the vibrations are determining the way that it unfolds. Certainly, so these are cymatic patterns that I have put up on the board. And these are digitally produced by some sort of a device that when you put different frequencies in it, it spits out a new pattern. And every frequency would produce a completely different pattern. No two frequencies being the same pattern. And aren't they beautiful? They're actually quite beautiful. These are also cymatic patterns. And this actually echoes the origins of the study of cymatics, which is the study of the relationship between vibration and form. Now, pretty crude, but you can see the point of this, upper right, lower left, the black plate with the granular medium on top of it, sprinkled on top of it, pipe of frequency through it. It produces a pattern. Increase the frequency, and that pattern gets more complex. it shifts from one pattern to the next. And in between, when you're doing one frequency and you're another one is coming in, when you change frequencies, there's a moment when neither one of the patterns is fully there, fully expressed. There is a moment that looks like chaos. And I believe that that is analogous to what human beings are experiencing on planet Earth right now. We are between worlds. There are some aspects of the old world that are still in place. There are aspects of the new world coming into being that are not in place yet. Both worlds are kind of here, and neither world is fully here. And depending on what you're focusing on, you may be getting anxious. You may be getting anxious. How do I keep my living intact? How do I keep my access to the source of the flow of goods and services that come from the morphogenetic field of humanity itself? You know, that which produces food and services and a distribution system and communications and blah, blah, blah. How do I keep my plug into humanity? How do I do that? Well, my answer to all of us is plug into your inner being. Pay attention to how you feel. Know that there is an organizing force that is in place. It is gently organizing, and it is only generally organizing. It is organizing along lines of spirit. It is up to you to pick the specifics. You are the specific part of this equation, this divine equation. You are both divinely one with the whole. We are divinely holographic. And you are a divinely autonomous individuation. You are the center of your own spin. And if you get into the center of your own spin and start building a positive momentum of your own, if you're a student of the law of attraction, you understand the idea of the engines. So your source energy mind is a powerful point of attraction. It is a spinning disc of powerful, positive attraction, cooperative components to all of its desires, coming into being, what really is, moving to the more. There is a very powerful point of attraction going on with your source mind. You can get on board with that and get into alignment with it and understand what it's doing and help it along and ride a really fun, cool ride yourself in the meantime. Or you can struggle and believe struggly things and resist and whatever every step of the way. Or you can understand that in a broad perspective, in a very broad framed way, but truly to the point of what you want, things are always working out for you. Things are always working out for us. Each and every one of us has an inner being that is guiding us on our individual path, and collectively we have an inner being that is guiding us to solving all of our problems. Oh, I have another problem. I forgot. In the litany of woes, war. And what is war caused by? Well, a lot of war is caused by squabbling over scarce resources in order that we can monetize and plug into this currency that is humanity, because we are relying on fossil fuels. The reason that Vladimir Putin has the power that he has to wage the war that he can is because he's a freaking oil oligarch. And all of his cronies are too. And they hold on to the power structure there in that vicinity because they control the flow of oil. And it's always going to be this way as long as we are extracting our energy from fossil fuels instead of from source energy where we need to be extracting it from. So go watch that movie, The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. Go check out Nassim Harameyn's mathematical papers that he has published. Go check out the Resonance Science Foundation. Go check out the International Space Federation. Go check out all of Abraham Hicks' work, because I pull law of attraction into all of this. All of this coexists in the same universe. And I believe in law of attraction. I can see how it works. I can see how the frequency that you are broadcasting on is largely determining the impulses that you are getting from the great allness. Are they chaotic, or are they blessed and coherent? Are they in harmony with the rest of the group, or are they in chaotic discord? All of this can be, you can find your own path by lining up your two beings, your inner being. Pay attention to how you feel. And when you're in a state of negative emotion, first of all, I don't believe the thoughts that I spin out when I am in negative emotion. And I personally have personal determination never to act physically. I sit on my hands, if you will, while I am in a state of negative emotion, until I have transmuted it into a greater understanding of who I really am and what's really going on. And I try to do the same thing when other people are standing in front of me in a state of negative emotion. I do not pin that to them. That's not who they really are. That is them out of alignment. Who are you? Who are you really? And who are you being in this moment? They may be two very different answers to that. We are good. We are all good. And even the authoritarian dictator is good. The problem is the whole system. We need to be understanding who we are. We need to understand source energy. We need to understand our own internal guidance system and its ability to lead every one of us directly to what we want. How does it do that? Well, every step of your life you've been telling the universe what you want. And the universe knows all things, but what it's looking at is what you want. So you have things that you know, and then you have things that you're looking at. Well, the universe, your inner being, knows all things because it's in touch with that whole vibration, that holographic vibration that is going on. Because 0 point energy, what it actually is all of the Plancks across all of the universe. It's everything interacting with everything all the time. It's this exchange of data and information across all the scales, all of the little points uploading to the whole, all of the whole downloading its allness information down to all of the points. It's like all of the protons of all of the universe are the data of them are represented in the Planck field of every proton. Every proton has encoded within it the information of all the protons in all of the universe. And current, now, it's doing it through an interference pattern. Imagine how a common hologram is made. You split a laser beam in two. One of the beams scans an object. The other one is just redirected by mirrors to a common point. After scanning the object, that laser is directed back to that common point. When those two beams meet each other, there is an interference pattern created. And within that interference pattern now, all of the information of the whole thing that was scanned, say an apple, all of it is now contained in that interference pattern. That's what's happening across all of the universe. This interference pattern is creating a holographic effect. And then its screening and interpretation, the consciousness of it, is arranged by way of scales of... Anyway, Our collective understanding of that is going to free us from fossil fuels and allow us to create devices that can tap into the quantum field, or it is possible to have devices small enough to hold in your hand that can run cities. There is no shortage of energy in this world. Once we get it, once we believe it, once we have faith that that is true, that that is there for us to find, then we will start throwing our consciousness that direction and find it. If you watch that movie, The Lost Century, you will understand the forces that are against this happening easily. And so I believe that it's because our consciousness needs to rise. And when our consciousness rises to a sufficient level, they will not be able to keep this from us. It's already an open secret. It used to be a secret, and now it's more of an open secret. I also believe that all of these things that I have said today are a lot of why UFOs are kept secret from us, and why we have not collectively spoken openly of extraterrestrials and our connection to them and who they might be and what might be going on there. And not in a superstitious nonsense kind of a way, but in a, So, I mean, if we are genetically modified beings, as I intimated, as I implied earlier in the program, somebody did that to us, and they would have done it to us some 200,000 years ago, give or take. You know, about the time when, not about the time, it would have been the time when our scientists, they used to call it Cro-Magnon man. They don't call it Cro-Magnon man anymore. They call it anatomically modern humans. When they appeared upon planet Earth, and we have never found that missing link in the fossil record, because I don't think it exists, because I think we took a jump, and I think somebody helped us take that jump. And one of the reasons why collectively, the wisdom of our collective person, who is largely expressed through our governments, why they keep it a secret from us. They're all in bed with one another, by the way. All of the ways that we produce everything, the ways we produce energy and goods and distribution and all that, of course it becomes one kind of amorphous field. And UFOs, when you watch them, when you see how they move and what people say about how they move, they imply an energy source that we don't have. They imply an understanding of the world around them that we don't have. And those who own the energy fields, who have a great deal of power across the board, political power, a lot of power in reality, a lot of power to direct that pipeline of goods and services to themselves, as opposed to the greater field. This is going to come back and bite us. I hope we don't have a French Revolution moment, but those things happen. All of the adjustments through history have been our rigid and non-sustaining systems that benefit a few and not the many, causing the Shiva energy that then is picked up in the field by the angry beings who then knock down the systems that we built in our ignorance to begin with. So the answer to that is we need to understand who we are, and that the systems that we design in the first place need to be in harmonic resonance with reality around us, with the way it actually works, with what our inner being knows to be true about the shape of the physics around us, and how the morphogenetic field of the biology of the planet, how, we could have our desires be in complete alignment with the desires of the rest of life. How do you do that? Well, the first way you do it is you quit burning fossil fuels, because that's the biggest thing that's killing the rest of the ecosphere of the planet. And when we trot on up to Alaska and embark on the Willow Project, It's going to put it on steroids. And all of that pristine wilderness, untouched, practically untouched, nothing's untouched now, but that practically untouched wilderness will not only be touched, it will be raped and, violated in hideous and terrible ways, with pipelines heading to warm weather refineries where, other ecosystems, precious and irreplaceable, are put at risk. We don't want to be doing this. And the thing is we don't have to. And the alternative is not a future of austerity and bleak self-deprivation, which is never going to happen anyway. We're not designed that way. We are designed to impulse to the more and the better and the more and the better and the better and the better and the more and the more. We are eternally expanding, evolving beings. The universe is eternally expanding and evolving. And right now, it's evolving and expanding through us. And the very notions of consciousness and what consciousness is and how it functions is being exposed here on planet Earth right now. The visual aids are just priceless at this moment, as the demonstrations of who we are and how it works are all around us. Anyway, I don't mean to just piddle away like that. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Where do I want to leave it? I like these pictures. So back to a personal level, at the point of your personal divine autonomy, because you are not, we are inseparably one with the field, but you have a certain amount of power. Within your own being, you have a certain amount of power to guide to determine your own path. The secret lies in building a positive momentum of your own. I remember I started talking about the trains. Your inner being is is laying down positive trains all the time. Positive, positive, positive. And if you don't put in the buts and the doubts and the pros and the cons and the I like this but I don't like that, every time you look at the unwanted and feel any negative emotion, you've basically dropped a train going in the opposite direction of what you really want. Your inner being is headed in the direction of what you really want. You want to be heading in the same direction that your inner being is headed. You want to be flowing that way. And when you are, it feels good. Now, you are where you are, wherever you are, might be in a state of negative emotion. How do you feel your way back to positive emotion? Well, these are your 4 general states of being. You just feel your way upward. Care how you feel. Know that your feelings are actually not direct manifestations. They are not directly caused by conditions playing out around you. They are being caused by the thoughts you're taking about the conditions that you are witnessing. Your inner being does not like out of alignment any more than you do, in a way. And yet your inner being actually likes everything, so I just contradicted myself. The fact is, you're encouraged to not like what you don't like. But know that it's not an existential indictment upon existence itself. It's not. No matter what you're experiencing, life is good. I don't care if you're experiencing horror. Life is good. And the horror is just coming from the places in our mind that we are able to go, and that we allow ourselves to go because we don't know who we are. And so we entertain those negative thoughts, and we take them down into negative spaces. And I'll tell you what, once you start a negative momentum of thought, if you don't, if you keep feeding it, it's bottomless. There is no getting to the bottom of any negative thing. There's no getting to the bottom of it. And as a matter of fact, if you chase it down in a negative way, you might end up in a place where, perfectly innocently, a mother, in her love of her child and her fears for its well-being, starts looking at every threat that could happen around them to that child that they love more than they have ever loved anything in their whole life. But if their focus is on all of the threats that could happen, and you start getting that momentum going, and then one threat makes you think of another threat, and the next thing you know, you're pouring through the internet, clicking on more and more, and the rubrics are leading you, the algorithms are leading you to more and more fearful possibilities. And you start noticing around you how things that that guy there, he is matching right up to this thing that I'm imagining. I can see you, evil person. I can see this. And the next thing you know, they are so frightened about the horrible world that they see that they have drowned their child to keep them safe from this evil world. That's the kind of bottom that the rat hole will lead you to. The fact of the matter is that if you really want to be safe, understand your equipment and understand that what you are focusing on at any given time is where you are going. It's where your being of light is moving forward on the grid of this amazing universal space that we live in. It's the direction you're going. And how can you tell where you're going? What does it feel like? Does it feel bad? Is what you're looking at terrible and how it's making you feel awful? Well, that's your first indication that you're not in resonance with how your inner being is seeing it. You're not at the broader perspective. You're not seeing reality as it really is. You are instead ignoring your own GPS guidance system and insisting on moving in the direction of what you don't want. You might be sitting there going, yeah, but I'm not reacting to anything that isn't happening really in the field. I mean, those polar bears really are drowning, and I'm staring right at them, and it's making me feel so bad. All I want to do is just shoot myself. You see how you just made the field around you a worse place and not a better place? What the world needs to know is what's right about it, how it's actually functioning, not just a litany of what's wrong with it. I told you all the things that were wrong. Wow, what was that noise? Oh, it's a notification of some sort. Ooh, there's a January sale going on. I don't know who's having it. Book your flight. Oh, somebody wants me to book a flight. I didn't know I had notifications on. So, of course, I lost my momentum. Forgive me for that. The idea, though, is we need to understand our equipment. We need to understand who we are. We need to understand how focus has to do with this. What are you focusing on? So you can see the truth of the world, and it's a mixed bag, things you like and things you don't like, and that's fair, and it's true. But the key to the whole thing is not, it's what you're focusing on is what the key is. You need to have a general understanding of the truth of all things, because it is one thing. I call it the Almighty. That's what I call it these days, the Almighty, the allness. And everything is there. And so at the place of understanding the allness, you can't subtract anything. So there's no subtraction. I know that Abraham talks a lot about there's no regression, there's also no assertion in this law of attraction. You are attracting the experience you're getting by virtue of whatever signal you're putting out. That's causing your impulses, that's causing you to rendezvous, it's causing your timing to be what it is, it's causing you to turn right, when all the world is doing da 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 da, causing your rendezvous to be a particular way. So that's how it's controlling your experience. Your impulses are determining your experience, and your impulses are being, they themselves, their clarity or their clarity or their chaos of those impulses is being determined by how well you are or are not aligned with your broader perspective, your inner being, your vibrational self. So there is nothing more important to your clear action as opposed to you just being one of those who are, we're picking up the Shiva energy, because honestly, all... Who am I? Who am I? It's worth asking. It's worth asking every day. And we can talk more and more and more about this. The whole idea of this discussion is going to be pointed towards our greater understanding as humanity, so that we can move away from fossil fuels, so we can get to a place where our technology is plugged into source energy and not into... I need to go find his name. Hold on one second. I can pause this. I'm going to find his name. His name was Hexus, the evil oil spirit from Fern Gully. We need to free ourselves from Hexus, because we actually have the technology to do everything that we need to do. We just need to have a better energy source to plug it into in order to do it. We can desalinate ocean water, and we could probably develop systems that desalinated billions of gallons of ocean water. And we could make water pipelines into desert areas and rebloom the desert. We could shrink the desert instead of growing it like we're doing now. We can resequester the carbon out of the atmosphere and sort of take some of the pressure on the natural global warming event that's happening on planet Earth right now. Take some of the pressure off of that, so that it's not such a violent event, such an uncomfortable experience. We can recycle Garbage Island. We can scoop up all the trash that is swirling around in the Pacific Ocean and recycle it. But it's all going to take energy, and if the energy that we use is that god-awful, dirty, filthy fossil fuels, then we're going one step forward, two steps back every step of the way, and we're never getting forward. We're never going anywhere. As a matter of fact, more than that, we're getting behind every day that we keep doing this. So if oil is no longer where our energy plugs into, then all of a sudden people like Vladimir Putin don't have the same kind of power. The resources in the Middle East are rearranged way differently. That we can rebloom the desert there too, by the way, and we don't need to fight over that scrap of land because it's adjacent to all of the oil. And I know Israel doesn't have the oil, but the oil is next door, and I know that it plays into the scarcity that we all feel about resources on planet Earth. Is a large part of why our wars play out the way they do. So we just need to get to a place where we have a better understanding of who we are in this bigger picture. How what we feel matters, literally matters. I guess I've done it for the day. I'm almost at the 2 hour mark. That's probably, I can't sustain this any longer. I've got to go be a regular person for the rest of the day, be a grandma, and take care of what I really care about in my physical real life. So until tomorrow, when I'm going to come into this space and I'm going to do it again, because I want to get humanity, I want to help us all get to a future that I'm actually really excited about. But when I look at what we've got right now on the ground in reality right now, it can be a little bit discouraging. But don't focus on what we've got now. Where our focus needs to be is upon what we want. Remember I said what you're focused on is the direction you're going? Well, if you're focused on what you don't like, then that's where you're going to. You are in the process of creating more of that same spirit of that which you do not like. Instead, you need to focus upon what you like, what you want. And I'll tell you what I like. I like planet Earth. I love planet Earth. I think that she is the most beautiful pearl of beauty imaginable. I love humanity, actually. I love us. I think the only reason we're monstrous is because we don't know who we are. And as soon as we know who we really are, we will do a better job of being who we really are. And actually, with that note, I think I'm going to sign off for the day. And so until tomorrow, I hope you will join me again. And I bid you peace.